What's the worst shadow contract and why is it the one with the 3 outhouses? In addition to that, we also have the Lacuni Den, which has indicator circles that cannot even be seen. This quest has been a little more difficult. Now, I've been told that you can follow the footsteps or the indicators for the navigation in that quest, and that'll actually give you a proper path to get through safely if you can't see the circles. However, I have not been able to try this myself, at least to this point. I've completed my contracts today, but what we're talking about is a couple of things that we would like to see revamped, updated, altered, whatever the case may be. And this is not a video that's meant to be kind of critical. Must be somebody here farming. This is more of a video that is meant to just kind of address and say that one thing that I would personally like to see, and I think many others would as well, is that rather than an update following the release of Blood Knight for new content or additional things to be added to the game, I would actually really like to see an update that just fixes some of the existing things in the game. I think it would be incredible to get some of these things updated. That have been out for years, say like these shadow contracts. We haven't had any new ones. They haven't been adjusted to kind of be more similar in duration or just the difficulty in which you can complete them, time frame, whatever it may be. And some other things like events, just getting some tweaks to kind of put them more in line, more consistent. Now, not everything has to be identical, right? We're not looking for everything to be exactly the same. There could be a little bit of variation and that'll be just fine, but there's some of these that are pretty extreme. For example, getting the dark wood contract in comparison to the outhouses can be pretty frustrating. So I'd like to see some of those tweaked. And what I want to mention here as well, while we're kind of doing this, is under the events tab, some of these are not nearly as great as others, right? The first one on the list here is Trial of the Hordes. I've been very open that I like this event. However, the problem I'm having to complete 9 matches or even to kill 150 monsters seems nearly impossible for me. If this said queue for 9 matches for 30 minutes or longer, well, I would have this quest completed. However, at this point, I basically can't find a match, and after so long of being at my device, I have to cancel the queue, get up, and do other things to attend to in my real life. It seems like if you were one of the people upon release of this event, if you just queued nonstop because you were able to log on and able to be at your device for a very long time that first day, you were able to climb much higher. This event has actually been hotfixed twice, so it's frustrating to see that this hasn't perfectly been kind of altered, or at least seen another hotfix to adjust this to make the rewards at least attainable. It seems pretty impractical. I've heard people being at gold 5 receiving 7 points per win. Now, if you're in a queue for 30 plus minutes getting 7 points per win, that's going to take you almost 8 hours of a day being in queues and playing matches where you have to be at that device in case that queue pops. So definitely could use something to be altered there, in my opinion. Now, there's some other events here, and it's okay, like I said, for these to vary. Phantom Market has got some things that you go in and purchase and so forth, so we'll skip over that one because it doesn't apply to everybody. Proving of the Rift, although it does apply to everybody, this is really just like a weekly reward system, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know if I would personally call it an event. Basically, you do challenge rifts, place wherever you can, and then at the end of the week, you'll receive some rewards for doing so. And I think that it's nice to have these weekly rewards. The terminology may not be perfect, but I certainly don't word everything correctly either. And there's really not that many places to put things, right? We have already shoved in an event for the, I'm drawing a blank, I can't close out either. What's going on with my game here? For Dread Pilgrimage, right? So we would just be adding additional things. Dread Pilgrimage is basically an event that's not in the events tab. So it would just kind of get overwhelming here. I have too many things to click through. So I like that this Proving of the Rift is here. I'm just not sure it's really an event per se. Shady Stock is easily the best of the events in here. And this is because you basically just do regular tasks. Identifying items, something you're probably going to do if you complete your dailies. Purchase one item. Okay, this is not too steep of a cost in regards to gold from Yakin. Completing a bonus dungeon. Now, if you're just doing your dailies and doing 3 dungeons to get your set piece reward from the Codex, maybe you float down rapids or something like that. But if instead you choose to do one dungeon that's the bonus drop rate and then do the rest for rapids or whatever the choice may be there, you can finish this one and just log in. So these are just really nice rewards. Yakin has been one of my personal favorites just because the rewards really feel valuable, and I certainly want to make sure that I log in and complete all these while this event is active. And I think that a lot of other people want to do as well. Now, I don't need to talk about all the events. What I'm really trying to prove as a point here is that Trial of the Hordes and Shady Stock are in no way equal, and it's okay that events are different, but this one basically can't be completed at this point if you haven't already, and this one is super easy to complete. So maybe some adjustment or tuning there, just like we're talking about with the shadow contracts. And then the final thing I'd like to talk about is actually in reference to yesterday's topic, where the video was covering perhaps free-to-play individuals that may be struggling with the gap or the jump to Inferno as the demand for secondary stats increased. What's been incredibly interesting about the feedback here is that this doesn't seem to apply to everybody. And the secondary stats, if you're unaware, are stats you can find on this screen here. You can get these from your normal gems. You can get these from the attributes that you have, whether it be from the tableau or on your gear. And these will all increase these stats like armor pen, potency, resistance, and so forth. And the gaps as you change difficulty increase. And there's been the biggest jump ever from the end of Hell to the start of Inferno. And there have been individuals that are struggling, but it doesn't seem like it's uniform. And this has really been fascinating to me, and I'm actually more interested in figuring out why, so that perhaps we can help some of the players that are struggling. I'm wondering if maybe it's certain classes that are having issue. Say there's a melee class that might be taking more hits, which is leading to them getting critically hit more often, making it more difficult to survive. Or is this an issue of something like people are spending all their Paragon points? Some are building for armor and survivability, where some are building for armor pen and clear speed and so forth. But as we got more and more info, we found that this wasn't limited to free-to-play. And this is where this really, again, goes further in depth. I've actually heard players near 4,000 resonance that have been struggling and had a noticeable change going into Inferno. And this is really, really interesting. I think that this is a combination of things, like I said, like whether it be your class as well as what you've prioritized. Perhaps a 4,000 resonance player in the past might have prioritized something like armor pen or potency and hasn't devoted some of their Paragon points to stats like armor. And this might be making a big difference now that that increase has been made from Hell to Inferno. So it'd be really interesting if we can get some more feedback and maybe get very specific. Even if it seems like overkill, feel free to leave. Like, I play this class, I am this resonance, I spend my points on this for Paragon points. Get as specific as you can. What level are your normal gems? What normal gems do you prioritize, if any? I just found it very interesting that some people are struggling and others aren't, and there seems to be a wide range of resonance. So I would really be very glad if people were willing to kind of elaborate on this so that we can use the feedback and make something constructive to help those individuals that have been struggling so far. Very excited for the release of Blood Knight. Hopefully everybody else is too. I think it'll be a little crazy at the start because there's probably going to be so many, and that is kind of normal for Blizzard games. They typically release things strong, and I've mentioned that before, and then we'll tune them down. And this is just kind of to hype up the class, so don't panic when the class is broken. I will actually be doing a lot of information and talking to a lot of individuals to see what they think is too strong about the class, if anything, when it comes out, and see if we can kind of hone in on some ideas that might balance the class a little bit more and bring it in line with some of the others. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.